Hello, good evening and welcome. Two important decisions of the Supreme Court today, and that is going to be our focus on breaking views. I am Ankit Tyagi. The Supreme Court today drew a red line as far as the fight between the Uddhav faction and the Shiv Sena led by Shinde, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, is concerned. Though at this moment, ladies and gentlemen, the Shinde government is safe, but is it stable and how long as far as this government in the current form can continue? That still remains a top question. But there are many important things that the Supreme Court said in the decision today. Let's very quickly take you through a few of the important observations made by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said that Mr. Thackeray, Uddhav Thackeray, resigned voluntarily. Otherwise, the court could have intervened and could have reinstated the government. So that also points out to the political wrong move that Mr. Thackeray has made. The Supreme Court also said the governor was wrong in holding Thackeray, that he lost the majority. Calling Shinde government to form the government was not wrong, as Mr. Thackeray had voluntarily, he had resigned. And remember, it was against the advice of his closest aides. Can't use the floor of the assembly to test and solve the intra-party matters is one important observation the court has made. Differences between the party not supporting the government and members being unhappy. The governor, scathing remarks were made against the governor. The governor at that point of time, Mr. Bhagat Singh Koshari, cannot use power not given to him. So practically saying that the governor's decision was unconstitutional. The governor not entitled to enter political arena, once again practically saying that the governor largely was acting as a political party, as an interested party in this entire drama. And the governor cannot play the role in intra-party dispute is also a scathing observation as far as this entire case is concerned on the disqualification of the 16 MLAs. This will now be a red line which governors and governments in future also would be using, would possibly be looking at whenever there are these kind of problems which are approaching any political party or a state government. Now, after this, there are four key characters that emerge as far as this entire saga is concerned. One is former Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. Sharad Pawar in his book wrote that he told Uddhav Thackeray, advised him to fight it out on the floor of the assembly and not give up the post of the chief minister, almost alluding that it was a politically novice decision on Mr. Uddhav Thackeray's part. He went ahead and resigned despite the advice of Mr. Sharad Pawar, his close aides, and also top lawyers. This resulted today, ladies and gentlemen, in the Supreme Court saying, you gave up before a fight, we cannot reinstate that government. Take a look at what Mr. Uddhav Thackeray had to say on this entire issue.
जैसे सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने कहा कि अगर मैं रिजाइन नहीं करता, मैं इस्तीफा नहीं देता, तो शायद मैं वापस मुख्यमंत्री बन जाता। मैं मेरे लिए नहीं लड़ रहा हूँ, मेरी लड़ाई जनता के लिए है, मेरे देश के लिए, मेरे राज्य के लिए है। और भले हम इसके पहले राजनीति में विवाद तो होते रहते हैं, लेकिन एक मत तो हमारा हो गया है कि इस देश को हमें बचाना है, संविधान को बचाया है। और इसलिए आप यहाँ आए हैं, हम मिलकर पूरे, आप तो पूरे देश में घूम रहे हैं, सबके घर जा रहे हैं, हम सब मिलकर ये जो अपने देश को फिर से एक बार गुलाम बनाना चाहते हैं, उनको घर भेजेंगे।
The other key character in this entire saga is this man who is distributing sweets here, Mr. Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. He continues as the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, but the question that a lot of people are asking, till when? The stability of his government is still not guaranteed. Basically, the Supreme Court saying that the very basis on which his government was formed seems to be contrary to the Constitution. But listen in to what he said on this occasion.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट के निर्णय का, मैं फैसले का तहे दिल से स्वागत करता हूँ। ये लोकशाही का, मेजॉरिटी का विजय है। आम जनता के दिल में जो सरकार थी उसका विजय है। और आज के जीत ने जो बार बार घटना बाह्य गैर कानूनी सरकार बोल रहे थे, उनको मुंह तोड़ जवाब है।
Meanwhile, the third important character as far as this entire saga is the former governor of Maharashtra, Mr. Bhagat Singh Koshari. a very long career as a BJP man. He was the governor of Maharashtra, always in news for the problems that he faced with the Uddhav Thackeray faction when he was leading the MBA, when he was the chief minister. Scathing remarks were made on the role of the governor, which is going to go down in history because it's a constitutional bench's judgment which will be referred time and again whenever there is conflict between the governors and the state. Now listen in to what Mr. Koshyari said on the questions which were posed by the Supreme Court on his role.
जिस समय जो भी कदम लिए सोच समझ के लिए और जब किसी का इस्तीफा मेरे पास आ गया तो मैं क्या कहता तुम मत दो इस्तीफा। अब जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कुछ कह दिया है तो आप लोग का काम है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सही कहा गलत कहा उस पर व्याख्या करना विवेचना करना, ये एनालिस्ट का काम है, ये मेरा काम नहीं है।
Right, the fourth character in this entire saga now becomes, who is very, very important, is the speaker, Mr. Rahul Navrekar. Rahul Navrekar now has to decide on the disqualification of the 16 MLAs, including the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. The Supreme Court, though, has said that two constitutional authorities, including the governor and the speaker, erred in their judgment and in their decisions as far as this entire, the change of guard that took place in Maharashtra. But it has now given the power to Rahul Navrekar to, in fact, decide the disqualification matter in a reasonable time. We are just, in fact, waiting for Mr. Navrekar to join us and we'll try and ask him some important questions as far as this entire matter is concerned. But before we do that, let's also, in the meantime, introduce our guest this evening for discussion. Krishna Hegde, Deputy Speaker and spokesperson of Shiv Sena Shinde faction, is joining us. Let me remind you that Mr. Hegde wants us to call him the Shiv Sena. Of course, it is led by Mr. Shinde. We are also being joined by Sajid K. Supariwala, leader of the Shiv Sena Uddhav faction. We'll also go across to, in fact, Mr. Anil Parab. He was a former minister in the Uddhav Thackeray government, a very, very important close aide of Uddhav Thackeray. We'll get him as well. He's also going to join us in just a short while from now. But let me very quickly just get your opening comments on this. Mr. Krishna Hegde, the very basis of this government being formed, the decision of the governor and the decision of the speaker has been called as a wrong judgment or a wrong judgment call by the Supreme Court. The very basis seems to be by the Supreme Court being called unconstitutional. That's why Uddhav Thackeray is saying that Mr. Shinde has no moral right to continue as the Chief Minister.
Ankit ji, first let me tell you, this is the victory of the truth. This is the victory of the people of Maharashtra. This is the victory of the people who voted for a mandate in 2019, where the BJP and Shiv Sena went together, with Narendra Modi ji as our leader, in the ideology of Hindutva and the blessings of Balasaheb Thackeray ji. Now it is Uddhav ji who moved away from the alliance after getting, the required number of seats to tie up with the Congress and the NCP, which was an unholy alliance, but he did it to gain chief ministership. However, his government was short-lived, and most of the people who were upset with the NCP moved out with Shinde ji and formed the government, and we are called the Shiv Sena. The election commissioner also endorsed it.
But Hegde sir, the question today is not what happened in history. The question today is the very basis of your government has been more or less called unconstitutional by the Supreme Court.
Ankit ji, you are looking only at the first few sentences of the court and not inferring into the last few sentences the court has said. The court has given us a very straight, legitimate, legal, constitutional head-on, and they have said very clearly that today Eknath Shinde ji will continue to be in government. He will continue to be in the chief minister. They have said that the 16 MLAs, the decision of disqualification rests with the speaker. They've said that whatever the election commission has decided on merit, that will stay. And that is why we have the symbol
Mr.
of the
Supariwala, if I may bring you in at this moment, I just want to read out what Mr. Sharad Pawar had said about Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. He had said, Uddhav Thackeray needs political acumen. He shouldn't have resigned as the chief minister without putting up a fight. This was what Mr. Sharad Pawar said in his biography. which same sentiments has now been more or less echoed by the Supreme Court. Do you think that this was the biggest political mistake that Mr. Sharad Pawar made, resigning even before facing the floor test?
First of all, let me thank you for taking my opinion on this. The thing is that Mr. Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, is not only a politician, he is also a human being with dignity. Maharashtra, first you can say that a person who is the tiger ka tiger, and he will remain it. Coming to the point that why he resigned and why he shouldn't have. See, a person who goes away with dignity, who has been backstabbed, Hamara ladai, our fight is not BJP or was not with the BJP only.
Yes.
We were always waiting and like trusting the people. And Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray trusted his people, made them, बोलते हैं ना कि राजा को रंग को राजा बनाना, और वो बोलते हैं ना कि किस तरह से how people have taken it. What Mr. Eknath Shinde ji or whoever in the MLAs and certain MLAs, all those were given chances to run election or fight elections by Mr. Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray only after he became the successor of Balasaheb Thackeray. So these things had been done. He had been always supporting his people, but I do not know whether it was the fear factor or the greed or what was the reason for them to desert. So, person who's deserted.
Mr. Pariwala, may I request you to hold on to that thought? I'm being joined by Mr. Anil Parab, very, very close aide of Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, was the minister in the government which was headed by Mr. Uddhav Thackeray. Mr. Parab, thank you for joining us. I want to start by asking you, what do you make of the Supreme Court judgment which has come today, sir?
It is a moral victory as well as it is a legal victory. Today, government might be the saved. It's a matter of time. Because what will the petition election, this disqualification petition has to be here by the speaker, and speaker has to go by the whip, and whip is declared as a Sunil Prabhu. Because in paragraph 119, it has been clearly mentioned that whoever the whip, the Shinde group has decided, it is totally illegal. In paragraph 122, Ajay Chaudhary appointment is legal. In paragraph 123, Shinde's appointment, speaker has appointed as a Shinde as a group leader, is already illegal. Then this is a clear-cut case where it is clearly mentioned that now because election petition has been decided only on the whip, because the whip has been violated, and that is on the record now. So there is a question of a time.
Right.
It is a matter of a time that these people have to go. This MLA has to go.
No,
nobody can escape them.
Right. So you are saying that the government might have survived right now, but it's just a matter of time. What makes you so confident, sir? Because the Supreme Court has said that Speaker has to take the final call as far as the disqualification is concerned. Now, will you petition the Speaker?
Definitely. No, we will write a letter to Speaker tomorrow only that he should conduct the hearing immediately, and this is the judgment. As per the judgment, he has to act because it is Supreme Court judgment. If he will not act as per the judgment, then again we will approach to the Supreme Court.
But you think that Mr. Uddhav Thackeray's resignation was a mistake which is now costing the party dearly. If he would not have possibly resigned, the situation today could have been different. The Supreme Court said we could have even reinstated him.
It is not a political mistake. See, one thing is there. Uddhav Thackeray has given his resignation on a moral ground. The person who was before him for the tickets for last so many years, if they are going to vote against him, it is a moral ground for him. He is a sensitive person. He has given his resignation. And second thing, for what? Because Uddhav Thackeray is not a leader for this just only for the government. He is a leader of he is a Balasaheb Thackeray's son. And he has given his resignation on the moral ground. But this is not a question of a reinstatement of Uddhav Thackeray. This is a question of a disqualification of the MLAs.
Mr. Fadnavis today, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, said that Mr. Uddhav Thackeray should be the last one to talk about morality and ask for Mr. Shinde's resignation. He said, where was his morality when he joined hands with the NCP and the Congress?
See, Eknath Shinde has to resign because this disqualification petition will be decided in some days. And if he will be disqualified by the court, then he has to resign. Better, this is the good time for him to resign.
I was reading some reports, Mr. Parab, and particularly regarding you, that the ED supposedly is, going slightly easy as far as your case is concerned. Is there something that people should read more into it? Because at this moment, it all boils down to the whole disqualification and what is going to happen as far as the Shinde government is concerned.
They are not found. They are not found anything against me. That is why they are. See, last 1 year my investigation is going on. It is not that they are going soft on me. They are not finding anything against me.
Mr. Parab, thank you for joining us at this moment. Mr. Hegde, I just quickly want a reaction from you on this at this moment. Tell me one thing. Like you heard Mr. Parab, who was in fact saying that there is no moral right and it's just a matter of time. Do you also think it's just a matter of time? Because the Supreme Court was very, very clear in saying that the Speaker will have to decide on the matter before the government change. So it will be status on the day when the whip was issued by the Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray faction.
Ankit ji, who is talking about morality? It is only the Uddhav Thackeray faction who is talking about morality. This word morality and morals have not been used by the Honorable Supreme Court. This is what they are bringing onto the table. Nowhere it has been mentioned in the order the word morals or morality. Secondly, Mr. Parab is only taking out inferences, and that too very selective inferences.
Okay.
But the fact remains that the government is here to stay.
Okay, may I just interrupt you there for a moment, sir? Just hold on to that thought. I am now finally being joined by Mr. Rahul Navrekar, the Speaker of the Assembly of Maharashtra. He becomes a very, very important person in the larger scheme of things as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Mr. Navrekar, I know you are in London. Thank you so much for sparing the time out, sir, and speaking to NDTV. I want to start by asking you, sir, on these observations which have been made by the Supreme Court, particularly about the Speaker. The Supreme Court said Speaker's decision to appoint Gogavle as the whip was illegal. The Supreme Court also said whip was appointed, a whip appointed party is crucial for the 10th schedule. The Speaker did not check who, in fact, was the real whip at that moment. Do you somewhere now, sir, accept that you made a mistake after the Supreme Court judgment?
Well, at the outset, let me clarify the position with regards to the appointment of, or perhaps the recognition of the whip. Insofar as the whip is concerned, Schedule 10 of the Constitution of India, until it was specified and clarified today by the Apex Court, did not specify particularly whether the political party or the legislature party is supposed to appoint the whip and therefore, till now, the precedent in Maharashtra has been that the legislature party has given a resolution of majority MLAs, whereby the whip has always been appointed. But be that as it may, now that the Honorable Supreme Court has laid down the law of the land, we shall abide by that. There's no difficulty in that.
Right.
But please appreciate that the Supreme Court has not struck down the appointment per se because it was illegal, personified. It was, they have struck down it on the basis of the ruling that it is the political party that does the appointment and not the legislature party.
Okay.
And after having said that, they have further stated that in the present case, it is the Speaker who will decide who represents the political party.
That's true.
The Honorable Supreme Court has not opined as to whether it is Mr. Gogavle or is it Mr. Prabhu.
No, sir, but I don't think so that there is any ambiguity as far as that is concerned, because the Supreme Court very, very clearly has said that the political party appoints the whip, and that is why Mr. Gogavle's, the recognition of Mr. Gogavle as whip was, in that decision, the Speaker erred. So there is clarity now that at least the speaker, who was at that point of time appointed by Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, should have been the whip at that moment?
No, actually, the Supreme Court has in fact asked the speaker to look into the matter to decide
of disqualification
who represented the political party. They have not said that Mr. Prabhu should have been appointed. They have simpliciter said that the political party's nominee should have been appointed as the whip, or should have been recognized as the whip. Now, they have further gone and said that the speaker should first determine as to who represented the political party. So, now while making a decision, I will be going back to the facts of June, July 2022 to decide who was controlling the party, who was authorized to give directions on behalf of the party, who was rightfully in control of the party. These are things which I'll have to look
Are
into.
you, isn't that the job as far as the Election Commission is concerned, though it has given a ruling, but are you at this moment also taking some legal opinion on the Supreme Court? Would you seek some further clarity? Because the Supreme Court has said you have to now decide in a reasonable amount of time the disqualification of 16 MLAs, including Mr. Shinde.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that I don't want to delay this matter at all. But having said that, you are well aware of the jurisprudence that prevails in our country. Justice hurried is justice buried, and justice delayed is justice denied. And all the provisions of CPC are applicable to the petitions that have been filed before me. So there will have to be evidence that will have to be led. There will be examination in chief. There will be cross-examination. There will be verification. And above all, I am first to decide who is going to be who was in control of the party, who was rightfully representing the party in June, July 2022. So there's a lengthy process that is involved, and I would not like to indulge in hurrying up things which could lead to miscarriage of justice.
What could be that reasonable time? Because the Supreme Court said it should be designed in a reasonable time. Do you have a time frame in mind, sir?
Well, as I mentioned, that it's very difficult for me to set out a time frame at this point of time. But I shall endeavor to complete the process at the earliest. But at the same breath, I would like to say that although I would endeavor to finish it at the earliest, I will not hurry into things which will lead to miscarriage of justice.
In the end, I mean, the Congress, the lawyers, those who in fact represented Mr. Uddhav Thackeray, they had come out and said that now the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the appointment of the whip, Mr. Gogable, was illegal. That means the whip should have been Mr. Sunil Prabhu. In that scenario, they are arguing that this is an open and shut case. That if whip was Sunil Prabhu, then these 16 MLAs stand against the whip that was issued by Mr. Prabhu, and hence the speaker should immediately decide and make them disqualified from the assembly.
Well, I am not in agreement with this argument for the simple reason that if it was so simple, the court would not have asked me to get into the issue of deciding who was in control of the political party. Mr. Gogable's appointment as the whip per se has been held bad in law for the simple reason that his appointment was done on the basis that he is an appointee of the legislature party. Now that the court has struck that down and they've said that you need to decide on the basis of political party, the court has never said that Shiv Sena led by Mr. Uddhav Thackeray is the political party which actually represents Shiv Sena, or is it Shiv Sena led by Mr. Eknath Shinde is the actual party that represents Shiv Sena. So I am yet to decide that, and the court has not opined anywhere that a particular fraction actually represents Shiv Sena. So once I decide that, I'll be able to decide whether it is the appointee of Mr. Uddhav Thackeray or the appointee of Mr. Eknath Shinde, who represents, would be appropriate to be the whip.
Mr. Navrekar, in conclusion, I would just like to ask you, sir, today two important observations were made by the Supreme Court on two constitutional posts, one of the governor, one of the speaker. Is there a lesson to be learned as far as the conduct of the speaker is concerned with what the Supreme Court has said today?
Well, I can assure you that the office of the speaker in this context has acted absolutely in an unbiased manner. I have acted in accordance with the precedents that are prevalent in the state assembly. I've acted on the basis of the record before me, and so there is no reason for me to be concerned on that ground. But let me tell you that parliamentary democracy is an evolving system. The anti-defection law that existed a decade or two back today the version that we see is a much stronger version.
Right.
So this is a piece of legislation that is going to keep on changing with time.
Okay.
When incidents like these come up, the law becomes stronger. But
Right.
that does not mean we should attribute malice to the presiding officer or anyone for that matter.
All right, Mr. Navrekar, thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here on NDTV. Good to have you to clarify the position of the Speaker, the most important position at this moment as far as the stability of the Maharashtra government is concerned. Thank you, sir. It will be a very hectic days when you are back in India as the Speaker of the Assembly of Maharashtra. That was Rahul Navrekar giving us his point of view, clarification on what he would be doing from here on, because as I said, the government possibly today of Mr. Shinde is safe, but how is it stable is the question that the Speaker now has to decide. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Thank you to my guests also for tuning in and giving us their perspective. Good night.